She vanished without a trace. But 2 years later, her body was found locked inside a walk-in freezer at a diner that never closed. The cameras? Erased. The owner? Dead. And the town? Silent. Welcome to Rose Hill, where secrets don't just hide, they freeze over. Rose Hill, Georgia. Population 4,921. The kind of town where everyone smiles but no one speaks. The day 24-year-old Ellie Mae Jensen disappeared. It hadn't rained in weeks. The grass was scorched. The birds didn't sing. But that didn't stop Ellie from walking the long gravel road from her shift at Buddy's Grill back home. She never made it. Ellie's parents reported her missing that night. Police shrugged it off. Probably ran off with a boy, they said. Except Ellie didn't have a boyfriend. And her phone was found 2 miles away, screen cracked unlocked, with her last message unsent. He's following me. But the message was never sent. Buddy's Grill wasn't just a town's diner. It was a town, open 24/7. Locals say it had been around since 1956. Never closed, not even during the pandemic. The owner, Buddy Collins, was a decorated Vietnam vet, well-liked, and known for saying, "You can hide a body in this town if you make the right people breakfast." Locals laughed, but he wasn't joking. The police questioned Buddy the day after Ellie vanished. His story was shaky. She clocked out. Left. That's it. But there were no cameras inside the diner. Privacy, he'd always said. Her time card said she clocked out at 9:48 p.m. Her phone pinged at 10:07 p.m. Inside the diner. 2 years passed. Rose Hill moved on. A new waitress filled Ellie's spot. The local newspaper did a 1-page memorial every July. Then Buddy died, heart attack, they said. Found slumped in a booth with a half-eaten plate of eggs and a Colt .45, still holstered at his hip. His estranged son, Dean Collins, a war medic-turned-bartender, came back to settle his affairs. He decided to sell the place. While cleaning the walk-in freezer, Dean pried open a rusted side panel. Something caught his eye, duct tape, faded and curling. Behind it, a small compartment. Inside it, a girl's necklace. And beneath it, a body. The coroner confirmed it. The body was Ellie Mae Jensen, frozen solid, positioned in a fetal curl. No signs of external trauma. No blood. Only one thing stood out. Her eyes had been removed. The media swarmed in. Rose Hill became headline news overnight. Frozen angel found in diner freezer. Read Dateline's title. CNN camped outside for days. But the town clammed shut. Every staff member at Buddy's Grill denied knowing anything. Detectives found no usable fingerprints, no camera footage, and oddly, no DNA except Buddy's everywhere. But one thing stuck out. A visitor's log scrawled on a sticky note. 12:02 a.m. Special guest. Stay quiet. B. Dean, haunted by what he found, began digging. He talked to old staff. A dishwasher admitted something. We all heard a scream that night, but Buddy told us to keep flipping pancakes, so it was just the pipes. Dean found his father's journal in a locked desk drawer, pages torn out, but one entry remained. She reminds me of her. Same eyes, same voice. I swore I'd never, but I did. I did. God help me. Dean's mother died in 1998. She was 17 when Buddy met her. Dean started to wonder. Had his father been doing this before Ellie? Were there others? He requested records from the health department. In the past 15 years, there had been 7 complaints about bad smells from the freezer. All dismissed. No inspections ever carried out. And then Dean received an anonymous envelope. Inside, a black and white photo. A girl, different from Ellie, also in uniform. Also standing behind the counter at Buddy's Grill. Dated 2005. Handwritten on the back. She's not the first. Dean broke into the freezer again at night. Under the floor tiles, he found scratched initials. Dozens of them. Some fresh. Some faded. BJ. LK. MD. Names that meant nothing. Until he cross-referenced them with old employee rosters. One by one, they popped up Girls who'd worked at Buddy's over the last 20 years and then vanished. No missing persons reports. No news. They were never filed. Why? Dean drove to the sheriff's office, records in hand. But when he got there, he was told, Sheriff Harlan ain't in. He's gone fishing. It was midnight. Dean checked the sheriff's cabin. Empty. But in the trash, he found an old napkin. Written on it, Ellie, next week, after closing. And beneath it, payment in steaks. Dean realized it wasn't just Buddy. It never was. A whole network of people had to be involved. Staff, police, even meat suppliers. Someone had been helping store girls in that freezer and wiping all traces clean. He tried contacting Ellie's parents again. Their home was abandoned. Neighbors said they moved to Florida. No forwarding address. No records. Dean began to wonder, were Ellie's parents ever who they said they were? Were they threatened, paid off, or something worse? That night, Dean's motel room door was pried open. The only thing missing? The black and white photo. But a note was left behind, taped to the mirror. A single sentence written in red ink. You're getting warm. Dean turned the photo over again. This time, under a backlight, another phrase appeared. Ask about room 6. Buddy's Grill didn't have a room 6. It was a diner, or so he thought. He scoured the blueprints. Found something bizarre, a sealed-off storage room behind the freezer. No door, no handle, just a wall. He broke it open with a crowbar. Inside was a mattress, chains, old clothes, a camera, a box of VHS tapes labeled with dates and initials. One read, EJ July 17th. He slid it into the motel TV and pressed play. Static, screaming, crying, a voice not Buddy's. You're next. And then silence. As Dean sat frozen in front of the screen, the TV flickered and turned off by itself. He turned around. Standing in the doorway was Ellie Mae Jensen, smiling. Dean didn't scream. He couldn't. Ellie stood there. Same uniform, same freckles, same timid posture. But her smile was wrong. It didn't reach her eyes. Ellie, he croaked. She stepped inside slowly barefoot. Her skin was pale. Not corpse pale, but like someone who hadn't seen sunlight in years. I told you not to look, she whispered. Now they'll come for you too. Dean backed up. I saw your body. In the freezer. The coroner confirmed it. Ellie's smile twitched. That wasn't me, she said. She explained, or tried to. There was another girl. They made her look like me. Same haircut. Same clothes. Same necklace. She begged me to help her. Dean tried to make sense of it. Who? Ellie didn't answer. She walked to the tape, still in the VCR. You shouldn't have played this, she said. And then the screen turned back on by itself. The tape continued. But now, the figure on screen wasn't screaming. It was laughing, softly, in rhythm, rocking in place. Dean turned to Ellie. She was gone. Dean rushed outside. The hallway was empty. Downstairs, the clerk looked up from a crossword. Was there a girl who walked in just now? The clerk raised an eyebrow. You're the only guest here tonight. Dean drove to the Rose Hill Library, broke in, and searched microfilm records. He pulled every article from the last 30 years. And that's when he saw it. 7 girls. All worked at Buddy's Grill. All vanished. And every single one had a surviving twin. Or so the obituary claimed. But there were no birth records for any of the twins. They didn't exist. Dean returned to the freezer the next morning, this time with tools. He took apart the shelving, peeled back the insulation, and discovered a ladder leading down. A cold draft blew up through the dark. Beneath Buddy's Grill was a basement, one no one had ever spoken about. He descended. At the bottom, a corridor of lock cages. Inside each, blankets, moldy pillows, scratch marks on the walls. In the final cage, a name etched in the steel. EJ number 2. On the floor, a journal. The journal was crude, pages torn, written in panic. They took her face, said she didn't need it anymore. Put on me. I'm Ellie now. I'm supposed to smile. Smile for the tape. Smile for the sheriff. Smile for the menu. But I'm not her. I remember my real name. I was Kayla. Dean flipped through the final page. He told me, "You're the dish. They eat what they don't understand." And then they locked me here. But she's still alive. The real one. She's in room 6. Still smiling. Dean's blood ran cold. Room 6. Dean called a friend, a journalist in Atlanta. He sent photos, notes, tapes, asked her to keep them safe. Then he returned to the diner with bolt cutters and a flashlight. In the deepest corner of the hidden basement, he found a sealed door, spray painted across it. No entry. By order of Sheriff Harlan. He broke the lock. Inside, it was colder than a freezer. He found a butcher's block, old blood stains, a set of cleavers, and next to it, vacuum-sealed packages labeled only by initials. He opened one. Inside was meat, not pork, not beef, human. Behind the butcher table was a mirror, two-way, a viewing room with folding chairs, popcorn buckets, and a red curtain. Dean stepped behind the curtain. It was a stage, blood-stained sheets, restraints, and a camera pointed at the center. Tapes lined the shelf. LK, performance number 3. EJ, smile session. MD, cleansing ritual. Dean took as many as he could. Suddenly, the room lights flickered. A whisper, "She's still here." He turned around. A face in the mirror. Pale, no eyes, just teeth. Smiling. Dean ran. As he reached the surface, headlights blinded him. Sheriff Harlan stepped out of his cruiser. "You've gone and opened a deep wound, son." Dean held up a tape. "I'm going to the feds. Everyone's going to know." The sheriff chuckled. "Think they'll believe you? Ex-military dropout, PTSD, motel tapes, dead father, and a ghost girl who doesn't exist." Dean stood firm. "Then I'll burn this whole town down." The sheriff stepped closer, hand on his gun. "You think Rose Hill's the only town like this?" Dean froze. "What?" Sheriff grinned. "You just found the menu. You haven't seen the kitchen." That night, Dean set Buddy's grill on fire. The flames lit up the sky. People came out of their homes, not to stop it, but to watch. Some cried. Others clapped. As the building collapsed, the freezer exploded. Black smoke rose, and something walked out. A girl, eyes missing, skin cracked, face half frozen. She walked straight into the woods. Ellie, the real one, or what was left of her. Dean followed, deep in the forest. He found a cabin. Inside, dozens of photos on a wall. Each girl, smiling. Underneath them, names scratched off. One remained. DC, Dean Collins. Footsteps behind him. A voice. "You can't bury the truth, Dean, but you can join it." And then, darkness. Dean woke up strapped to a metal chair. Dim lights above him. His head throbbed. Voices buzzed like flies around him. Hushed, reverent, almost prayerful. A woman stepped forward. Tall, pale dress in white. Her eyes were stitched shut, but she moved like she could see. "Dean Collins," she said softly. "Welcome to the feeding ground." He struggled. "I'm not joining anything." The woman smiled. "You already have. You were chosen the moment you found her body." Dean shouted, "Who are you people?" The answer chilled him. "We are the ones who keep the hunger fed. The ones who ensure no girl dies in vain. We give their pain purpose." The woman, called Mother Lilith, showed Dean the truth, or their version of it. The girls weren't victims, she said. They were offerings, chosen carefully, groomed from childhood. The town's elites raised them to be pure, obedient, and ready. Each girl went through the ritual. Smile training, silence drills, trauma conditioning. They were marked not by what they said, but what they never could. Dean saw tapes labeled Harvest Ceremonies, dating back to 1963. One tape played. A man, a mayor, fed me to a blindfolded audience while a girl smiled from behind a curtain. Applause followed. Dean gagged. "You're monsters," he whispered. "No," Lilith replied. "We're chefs." That night, Dean was thrown into a cell beside Ellie. She was bruised, barely conscious, but alive. He whispered, "How are you still alive?" "I saw your body." She replied hoarsely, "They froze her to replace me a decoy." It's how they silence the town. Nobody wants to believe the real girl is still alive and screaming. "Why you?" he asked. Ellie stared forward. "I wasn't supposed to smile." She handed Dean a torn scrap of paper. On it, coordinates, and 3 words. "Help me end it." Dean escaped that night with Ellie, through a tunnel beneath the cabin that led into the woods. The coordinates led to an abandoned radio station just outside Rosehill. K92, shut down since 1989. Inside, dust coated everything, except one desk, cleaned recently. There was a cassette player, a microphone, and a wall full of girls' names. Next to each name, a 15-minute audio file. Dean pressed play. It was Ellie, crying, pleading, repeating one line. "If you hear this, please remember me." Dozens of tapes, dozens of forgotten voices. Dean looked at Ellie. "We're going live." Dean activated the transmitter. Static buzzed. He patched in the tapes. One by one, the girls' voices went out into the night. We were taken. We were cooked. We were fed to men with money and uniforms. I was 16. My name was Maddie. My name was Layla. My name was Ellie. People across Georgia heard it. Phones rang. Reporters scrambled. Reddit lit up. Hashtag Freezer Girls trended. But within minutes, the door to the radio station was blasted open. Sheriff Harlan, behind him, Mother Lilith, and masked figures with torches. Lilith smiled. "You broadcasted their screams, Dean. Now we'll make you one of them." Dean and Ellie ran. They fled back to Buddy's grill, or what remained. The fire had revealed something beneath the rubble. A stone slab, an altar with hundreds of initials carved into it. Dean dumped gasoline over it. Ellie lit the match. It didn't burn. The stone hissed. Symbols glowed. Ellie whispered. It was never just murder. It was worship. Suddenly, chanting erupted behind them. The cult had followed. Torches raised. "Lilith, let the final feast begin." "Dean, no. This ends now." He pulled out a signal flare, aimed it at the gas line, and fired. The explosion rocked Rosehill. Sirens wailed. Smoke towered. And from the ashes, something crawled out. Not Lilith, not the sheriff. Dozens of girls. Alive. Coughing. Limping. Freed. They'd been kept in underground cells. Forgotten. Ellie led them. Dean went back to the radio tower, bleeding, limping, and turned the mic on one last time. He whispered to whoever's listening, "This is Dean Collins. Rosehill fed on children. They served human flesh with pancakes. They buried girls beneath a freezer. But we remember. We remember. And if you don't hear from me again, know this. They're not just in Rosehill. They're everywhere." 2 weeks later, a waitress in Willow Creek, Mississippi, hears a familiar voice from the walk-in freezer. She opens it. Inside, a girl, smiling, a note taped to her uniform. "Your turn to serve." Willow Creek, Mississippi. Population, 3,201. A faded town where nothing ever happens. Until now. Darla in Kent, 19. Waitress at a 24-hour truck stop diner called the Wishing Spoon. Her night shift was routine, coffee, waffles, truckers with sad eyes, until she heard crying from the walk-in freezer. Thinking it was a prank, she opened the door. Inside, a teenage girl, pale, silent, smiling, pinned to her apron. Ellie Mae Jensen, Rosehill Program 1A. Darla screamed, but the girl didn't blink. Local police arrived within 30 minutes. By then, the girl was gone. The only thing left in the freezer was a package, vacuum sealed, labeled with 3 letters. DK, Darla Kent. Inside, meat, no one to confirm what kind. The officer shrugged, probably a sick prank. Darla wasn't convinced. That night, she received a text from an unknown number. "We saw you open a freezer. It likes you. You're next." She'd change her number. But the messages kept coming. On her laptop, her mirror, her shift receipts. In Atlanta, Dean Collins was in hiding. After the broadcast, he became both a hero and a threat. The FBI questioned him. The tapes were misplaced. The survivors relocated. The town investigated. But nothing happened until Dean received a manila envelope with no return address. Inside, a photo of Darla Kent, a map of Willow Creek, and a note, Smile Protocol active, Phase 2 initiated. He knew what it meant. Rose Hill wasn't unique. It was a prototype, and now they were scaling up. Dean went to Willow Creek undercover. He found Darla, scared jumpy, sleeping in her car. She recognized him from the broadcast. Together, they investigated the Wishing Spoon's history. It used to be called Rose Spoon Cafe. The owner? An ex-Rose Hill resident, Greta Collins, Buddy Collins' sister. They pulled blueprints. Underneath the diner, a second freezer, sealed. They broke in. Inside, 4 chairs, a camera rig, a rack of waitress uniforms, all size small, and on the wall, in blood, we all smile eventually. Darla began experiencing blackouts. She'd wake up wearing makeup she never applied. Notes would appear in her handwriting, but she didn't remember writing them. One night, she woke in the diner's back room, and standing over her was Ellie Mae Jensen. Alive. Again. Why me? Darla asked. Ellie only smiled. She placed a cold hand on Darla's face and whispered, because you almost chose not to smile, and they hate that. Then she vanished. Dean hacked into the diner's old surveillance servers. He found clips going back decades. Footage showed every girl hired at the Wishing Spoon went through the same process. Night shift assignment, freezer incident, behavioral adjustments, final smile. Only one video had sound. A man's voice said, "Protocol for be activated. Subject DK shows hesitation. Induce family stress. Erase primary mentor. Begin trauma loop." Dean recognized the voice. Sheriff Harlan. He was alive and running the program remotely. Darla's parents died in a house fire that week. Investigators blamed faulty wiring. Dean knew better. The cult was isolating her, preparing her for final acceptance. Dean confronted her. You're not broken. They want you to believe you are. That's how they win. But Darla began to crack. She smiled constantly. Her eyes went vacant. She whispered, "I think I want to serve now." Dean made a choice. He knocked her unconscious and dragged her into hiding. Dean uploaded a second broadcast. He released photos, names, autopsy reports, meat shipment logs, linking Buddy's Grill, the Wishing Spoon, and 6 other diners across 3 states. He exposed the full scope of the Smile Protocol. Target troubled young girls. Break them through isolation. Recondition them into servitude. Sell their identities. Feed their flesh. Repeat. The video went viral. Over 15 million views in 2 days. And then it disappeared. Scrubbed from every platform. The cult responded. Dean's hideout was raided. His friend in Atlanta was found dead. And across the South, girls went missing dozens, but not into vans. They walked away willingly, smiling. One of them left a voicemail on Dean's burner phone. "You freed us, Dean, but freedom is scary. So we went back. We like smiling now. We like the way it feels." Dean was losing, and he knew it. A black envelope arrived. Inside, a reservation card, a time and date, location, the Hollow Table, a luxury restaurant outside New Orleans. On the back, "Dinner is served. Let's talk." Ellie signed it. Dean looked up. Darla was gone. Dean enters the Hollow Table. Everyone turns. At the head of the table, Mother Lilith, alive and smiling. Next to her, Darla, eyes vacant, knife in hand. She whispers, "Would you like a taste, Dean?" A silver platter is placed before him. He opens it. Inside, a single tooth, still warm. The room was candlelit. Ornate. Guests in suits and masks clinked wine glasses while soft jazz played. Mother Lilith gestured toward the silver platter. It's rude, not a taste, she said, her stitched eyes twitching. Dean stared at the tooth, heart racing. You kill girls and turn their pain into a delicacy. Lilith tilted her head. We refine their suffering. We immortalize them. You record them. We feed them. The guests laughed politely. Darla placed a fork beside him, whispering, It's better when it's someone you love. Dean reached into his coat and pulled out a flash drive. Bon appetit, then. The cult had forgotten something. Dean was broadcasting again. Hidden in his pocket was a live GPS transmitter with an audio feed, tied to a proxy server in Iceland. His friend from Atlanta hadn't died. She faked her death to stay off-grid. Right now, 35,000 people were watching, hearing everything. Dean stood and said, This is the real final smile. He pressed a button on his watch. Boom. A van in the parking lot exploded, drawing out most of the mass security. Dean flipped the table, grabbing Darla by the wrist. She didn't resist. She whispered, I've been pretending. While chaos erupted, they fled into the cellar of the hollow table. There, they found hundreds of cassettes, all labeled by name, date, and dish. At the very back, one stood out. EJ original/program route. Dean played it. On screen, a 14-year-old Ellie, tied, drugged, and being asked questions by Cher Harlan off camera. How long can you smile before crying, Ellie? 10 seconds. Try 20. I want to go home. You don't have a home. The screen cut out. Darla cried. Dean looked at her. How far do you want to take this? She wiped her tears. All the way. They set fire to the cellar. As the building burned, they confronted Lilith outside, surrounded by flaming debris and crumbling chandeliers. She was already bleeding. Glass had slid open her throat. Dean stepped closer. You lose. Lilith smiled with blackened teeth. Did I? She collapsed, laughing. The crowd began to scatter, but one by one, they froze. Cell phones lit up. Texts flooded in. Smile protocol exposed. Dean Collins, hero or hunter? Arrests begin in 10 states. Dean had triggered every backup file from his drive, uploaded them to darknet forums, news tips, Reddit, and more. This time it stuck. Weeks passed. Dean and Darla were hiding out in New Mexico. The FBI confirmed 9 Smile Diner locations, 12 arrests, 18 suicides, 36 missing girls found alive, but one wasn't. Ellie. Her body was never recovered. The original Ellie. Then one night, Dean received a VHS in the mail. No return address. Just the words. Thank you for setting the table. He popped it into a player. Static. Then Ellie appeared, crying, shivering, but not broken. Dean, if you're watching this, you found them, but you didn't stop them all. Some of us became them. They said if we smiled enough, we'd forget. But I remember. She paused. Check the freezer at spoon number 10. Don't let the next girl become me. And then she laughed. Not Ellie's laugh. Lilith's. Dean rushed to check the list. There were only 9 confirmed Smile Diners. But Ellie's tape said, spoon number 10. The 10th location hadn't been found. Until now. A private investor had recently purchased a closed amusement park in Arizona. The new business? SmileWorld, America's happiest diner theme park, opening in 1 week. Dean stared at the name, the font, the logo. It was Ellie's smile. Dean and Darla prepared to go undercover as employees at SmileWorld. The final line of Ellie's tape echoes as Dean watches the park's promotional video. We don't just serve food. We serve purpose. We serve peace. And everyone leaves smiling. The camera pans across the amusement park. A giant freezer-shaped building towers at the center. Above it, neon lights. Table for one. The lights flicker, then go out. The gates of SmileWorld open under the blazing sun. Mascots and plastic grins dance on painted streets. Carnival music echoed from hidden speakers. The main attraction? The freezer ride. A towering mock walk-in freezer at the park center. Dean and Darla entered undercover as new staffers. They wore cheerful aprons at red. Always served with a smile. Dean whispered, "You ready to finish this?" Darla nodded, slipping a knife into her apron pocket. "Let's close the kitchen for good." Behind the scenes, the park was no different than the diners. Dean and Darla discovered a smile conditioning lab where girls were trained on facial expressions, vocal suppression, obedience drills, all under guise of employee orientation. They found mirrors lined with lights, cameras in every corner, electroshock collars hidden in uniforms. One girl, 14-year-old Mia, whispered to Darla, "They say if we don't smile right, we end up in the meat room." That night, Darla followed a manager named Chef Tennyson into the lower level of the freezer ride. Dean followed, recording everything. Below the ride was a full-scale butcher shop, cold steel walls, ceiling drains, package trays, all labeled with 3-letter codes. Dean opened one. Mia, grilled liver. They were packaging the girls while they trained the replacements upstairs. Dean whispered, "It was never just about feeding elites. They're scaling it into commerce." He pressed the detonator. 2 explosives planted inside the cooling tanks. 5-minute delay. Then alarms. Dean and Darla ran. In the core of the freezer sat a sealed chamber marked, "Original Smile do not open." They broke the lock. Inside, a cryo chamber, glowing blue. Suspended in liquid nitrogen, Ellie Mae Jensen, still 17. Eyes closed, face perfect, mouth frozen in a permanent smile. A plaque on the glass. "Ellie, the original, the forever smile." Darla choked back tears. Dean whispered, "She never left." They turned her into a shrine. Suddenly, the intercom crackled. Mother Lilith's voice, distorted but alive. "We don't kill our angels. We preserve them. Smile for us, Dean. Just once more." Dean hooked a signal feed from the cryo chamber to his transmitter. He uploaded everything live. Ellie in the tank, the meat trays, the training room, the blood-stained uniforms. Over 1.2 million people tuned in before SmileWorld's signal was cut. Sirens howled in the distance. Darla lit the last explosive fuse. "Let her go, Dean," she said. "She's already gone." He stared at Ellie's frozen face, then whispered, "Goodbye." They ran. SmileWorld erupted in flames. The freezer imploded. Blue light burst from the cryo chamber as tanks ruptured. Girls fled the park. Some are still smiling, some screaming. Dean and Darla were tackled by rescue teams 3 blocks away. The news hit global. Smile Protocol, destroyed in firestorm. Frozen girl in theme park was real. FBI confirms. Leaked videos spark worldwide horror. Arrests followed. Names no one expected. Corporate heads, governors, celebrities. SmileWorld had exposed them all. A year later, Dean visited a rehab home in Colorado where 17 survivors now lived. Darla was teaching them how to frown. Dean watched Ellie's last tape one more time. She wasn't crying. She wasn't afraid. She was smiling because she wanted someone to find her. And he had. Dean now runs a foundation called The Last Broadcast, tracking missing girls, exposing silent trafficking rings, and funding survivors' recovery. Darla speaks at schools about trauma, cult grooming, and the danger of forced obedience. When asked what happened at SmileWorld, she always says, "They taught us how to smile. We taught them how to scream." Dean looks into the camera of his podcast's first episode and says, "They built a world on grins and silence, but we found the freezer, and we left the door open." The end.